Please, am I audible?
Yes, please. Good afternoon, Madam Rector.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon and welcome to today's session of our masterclass series. Please, let us pray. Our Father, we thank you. We thank you so much for today. We commit ourselves into your hands. We thank you for this opportunity you have given us. We pray that this will be a good time of learning and sharing. Help us to benefit from these sessions and apply them to our work and glorify you in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay. So once again, good afternoon to today's session. Good afternoon and welcome to today's session. We started this masterclass series because we recognized that pharmacists do not really record and document the things that we do. We do not share the information on things, interventions that we have made. And we realize that sometimes it's as a result of difficulties and, there is time constraints. And so far, there are a number of sessions we have had. We started off as talking about becoming a researcher, and then we discussed referencing. Then we talked about copyright and intellectual property. And today, God willing, we'll be discussing literature search using databases effectively. If you'll give me a few minutes, let me mention that once again, we have quite a number of people using Giftinet's link. Please, it will be great if you can change your name. You just hover your mouse on the name and you will get the option to rename. You click on it and rename it accordingly. If you hover the mouse on it and you do not get the option to rename, it means that is not the one you are using. So please, let's rename. Anybody who used Giftinet's link, please rename so that in the discussions, it will be easier to call people and we can participate effectively. Thank you very much. So I want to share a few slides with you. Just to go through what we will be doing today. While we wait for the rest of us to rename, please. If it is at all possible, please rename. So today we are going to look at literature search using databases effectively. Let me see if our facility, yeah, thank you, great. So we are going to look at literature search using databases effectively, and our facilitator today will be Dr. Franklin Echampong. But I want to just remind us, it's been a while. That's why today we are looking at this so that we remember the reasons why we've been meeting. We want to identify opportunities for publication. We want to sharpen the focus. Sometimes, you have ideas, but it's not very sharp. And so when you are sharing information on that, sometimes people will say, oh, this thing is all over the place. But if we are able to sharpen the focus, then we can support the design in a way that we can tell our stories effectively. There is something that we have done. There is an intervention that has been made. There is some research that has taken place, and we want to share our findings, but we want to be able to design it, sharpen the focus, and design our reporting style so that it is acceptable and palatable and enjoyable, so that people who hear us will be able and ready to use the information that we have also gathered. We also want to look at ways of improving presentation. So maybe you have all of these, but sometimes when you are presenting, you have to be able to carry your listeners along. It's not always that you may get it correct, but at least generally, we should be able to get to the place where we carry our listeners along. And we want to come to the place where the ideas that we have, if you have a thought about something with respect to your work, with respect to the practice, with respect to healthcare in general, or even with respect to the nation, you want to be able to share that idea and bring it to the place where all of us will benefit from. So today's session, this is how it will go. We will have our presentation.
Thank you.
And following. Please, if you could mute your microphones, thank you. So we will have our presentation by our facilitator. Then we will have a question and answer session if there are things that maybe have been said that somebody we are not clear with. We have our question and answer session. Then we'll go into breakout groups. We'll go into our breakout rooms where we will discuss the scenario, the case study that was shared with all of us in our emails. So each one of us has the case study. And so we go into our discussion groups and we will share that case study. And then we will return into plenary and discuss. We will report what happened in the breakout rooms. We'll report what happened in the breakout rooms and discuss some of the findings and find out ways in which we can improve on the quality of the work that we do, and we will wrap up. During the wrap up, we'll be sending out our evaluation, and we'll ask you to evaluate the session so that we have ways of improving on the work that we are doing. So today, as I mentioned earlier, we are talking about using databases effectively. And to help us in that discussion and lead that discussion is pharmacist Dr. Franklin Echampong. He is head of research of Kolebu Teaching Hospital, and he's also a fellow of the Ghana College of Pharmacists. He has led, for those of you who in any way have been engaged or involved with some of the lectures with the Ghana College of Pharmacists, you would most likely have experienced Dr. Franklin Echampong as he has shared information on research. And so today he's going to help us to look at how we can use databases effectively. And so I'll stop sharing and ask Dr. Franklin Echampong, please take over, sir.
Thank you very much, Rector. I'm very delighted to join in the discussions. We are aware that in this current dispensation and going forward, research and of course, letting the world know what we do is very apparent. We cannot forget about it. So when we started the series, it's become very important, very interesting. I mean, if you look at the interest that has been shown, it also goes to pinpoint the fact that we accept that research is important and that we should continue to learn and update ourselves as we go on. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add to the discussions. Because of internet connectivity, I would put my video off whilst the presentation starts. But to introduce myself, sure. So those who have not seen me yet, you can take the opportunity to look at the video, and then I'll put it off, and then we will start the discussions. So, like Madam Rector said, if you are undertaking any research, either for academic purposes or for work, or you are going to create a report, one very important bit, even before you start the work, is what I'm going to talk about today. That is literature search. And what do we talk about literature search? For the literature search, you are looking at what has already been done on the subject matter, on the field, the concepts that are available, the theories that people have propounded, and definitions and things. What it does is that it gives you a good perceptions, it gives you a good overview of what you are in for. Because, like you know, research is a science, and that one would need to be building on what has already been generated in terms of data or information, or if even it's a new area, it's an innovative area, you would want to search to see what informed you in saying that what you are going to do has not been done before. It is because you have performed one literature search or the other. So for the next half an hour, I'm hoping that this is going to be more practical. So what I'll do is that I'll be going off to attempt to show us when we get to the areas that we need to practically, because what the series tends to do, and like we have done with the previous presentations, is to make it very practical. You know, I do not want to talk too much about the theory of literature search and so on and so forth. We want that at the end of the presentation, the different types of research will be known. I won't go too much into that. And those of you who would show interest in any of them can contact me later for in-depth discussion on those ones. But we will look at the different types that we have. Then we would take a quick look at search engines, especially I'll tropicalize it. I'll give a home base. There are so many engines available, and those of you who have had the opportunity of studying abroad in universities, you attest that they do present to you with a lot of engines. But when we come to our local, we would have to look at what are available and what we can easily chance upon, so that we are not hampered. If we spend so much energies on the things that we cannot access, it will not help much. And then we would go straightly into the searching procedure. And then, like Madam Retta said, we will take a practical. So while we discuss this, take some few points that would help you be able to answer the case study, And as it is, we would want to finish the presentations. So please, if you have questions, you have experiences that you would want to also share to support my presentation, you would please put it down, and then at appropriate time when we open the opportunity for us to discuss, then you can bring them on board. So let's go straight away. I've talked about the importance of literature search. You can't do any report without discussing what has already been published or what is in the public domain in relation to the subject matter, your topic, your title, or even the idea that you are bringing on board. And so literature search is very important. Now, when you have a topic, a title, and you are going to start your work, the first thing that you do, if you are being supervised for a thesis or a long essay, the first thing I would recommend that if the Zoom administrator would mute everybody as they join in, so that we would have clearer. Yes. So I was saying that if you have a topic, you have a subject, you have a report to write on, and specifically we are looking at research, but on anything, the first thing you need to do is to do a literature search. What is literature search? Searching on published data on the subject matter, on the concept that you have, or on the theories that you want to propound. So that is it. You are searching for available data that has been published in that area. Going forward, I would make it a little more academic in the sense that if you want to publish, then you would want to do things in a scientific way, as the academicians will do that. So you will see that I will tilt it from just becoming a normal field work that you want to present a report to your boss, to like having done a research, you want to write it up in a manuscript form and publish it. So let's look at some types of literature review. This is not exhaustive, but we do have scoping literature review where you are just looking at what is available on the subject matter. So what you do is that you go from databases to databases and look out for what is available. Then we have the same literature review, but in this time, you are doing it systematically. You are going to use the systematic approach in reviewing your literature review. And it is one publishable work that you can also do. What I mean is that you can do a literature review systematically and publish it as a paper that you own, that will be attributed to you. So let's say you have a topic on childhood management of malaria in children in Ghana, for example, or the therapies used in prophylaxis, malaria prophylaxis. You can actually do a literature search on this topic and write a manuscript out of it and publish it. But there is a way of doing it, and that is not the emphasis for today. Systematic literature review is not the emphasis because for doing systematic literature review, you would use tools, guidelines that are acceptable, scientific, and there's a scientific procedure for undertaking systematic literature review. So that these are the other. So, but which type of literature review am I talking about today to help us? If you are, so for the manuscript generation, what the rectors mentioned, if you are either undertaking that you just want to do a publication, or it's for those of you at the college, you want to do your theses, dissertations, and so on and so forth, you need to come up with a literature review session. Now, in generating the literature review session, there are search engines. These are online tools that you can search for your data there. These are online tools. So you have web bases. Example, what was some of the web bases? So you have WHO sites, you have Hinari, which I would talk to you about, a very useful resource. You have online libraries. So libraries that are online available, like you can have libraries that have been generated either by universities or by institutions that are online, that what they do is that they take custody of publications, all kinds of publications. So you will search your data also there. Then we have online journals. So now Now it's very even hard to come by hard copies. Only a few journals now produce hard copies. Now most of the journals are available online. Most of the journals are available online. So you would have International Journal of Pharmaceutical and Pharmacy Practice. You have various journals. Now there are countless, a lot more journals are also available online. Then I will talk to you about the special emphasis on Google, which is, we have Google, Yahoo, and those other engines have now created search engines that are useful for our purposes. So this is a typical library, a national library from Pubmed. So pubmed.gov, the American library, and we are very, very familiar with this. It's a very important tool in our research. Where we are, like I'm saying, let me introduce you and then we'll go into the procedure for literature search. You have Scholar Google. I mentioned Google. If you search on plain Google, you are going to get a lot of unscientific data. And so as much as possible, if you are doing literature review for academic purposes or for publications, please look at Google Scholar. And it's very simple to search. Even in Google, you just say Scholar Google and it will come up and then you get to this page. Then there's this resource, WHO, in collaboration with a lot of partners, have created a database known as Hinari, where there are tons and tons, and I would open Hinari for us to see millions of journals that have been enlisted and indexed in Hinari for use. And luckily for us, those of us from developing countries do have free access, but it needs to be institutionalized. We would recommend maybe Ghana College to have access to Hinari, especially for their candidates and to use that. So having given you the basics, so what I'm saying is that there are areas and tools that are available, resources online for you to search for the literature, Let's come to the real meat itself. What is the searching procedure? How do you go about? You have been given a topic. You yourself, you have a topic, you have a title, you have a subject that you want to research. How do you go about it? What should be the first thing that you do? Very simple. I have simplified it, and I would go online to attempt to practicalize what I am talking about. The first thing you need to do is to identify search words. And this is the strategy. If you have a title, a subject, a thesis topic, or you're coming up with a manuscript, a research topic, what are your main objectives? What are your main objectives? What are your concepts and theories?
I'll try and get home.
What are your specific objectives? Can you break the topic into subsections? A typical example, so the title of my study, I look at the main objectives to determine, let's say, the prevalence of rhabdomyolysis, the prevalence of skin diseases in Ghana or in a hospital. Once I have this as a specific objective to determine the prevalence, in my literature search, I need to look out for prevalences of skin diseases. Prevalences of skin disease will become one of my sub-sessions under which I am going to search. Another example, you are studying antibiotic resistance. The first question that comes, what is antibiotic resistance? So definition of antibiotic resistance become a subtopic that you will jot down, you will write down, and then when we get to the search proper, I will show you what to do. But the first thing to do, I am going over, is that if you have a topic, if you have a manuscript topic, or if you have a thesis topic, and you are being asked to do the literature review, you first have to write down subsections or subtopics under your main title or topic. And how do you develop, or how do you write out, you are starting afresh, how do you get these subtopics? I am saying that your first point to look at will be your main objectives, the specific objectives of your study, the specific objectives. Out of the specific objectives, you will get subtopics to the literature review. And also out of the topic, you would ask yourself, what are the main ideas? For example, the example that I gave about antibiotic resistance, you are looking at definition of antibiotic resistance. Then what again comes to mind? What is the prevalence, or how often that do we have antibiotic resistance in our country? So you can write the prevalence of antibiotic resistance. You can also look at the topic, antibiotic resistance. What are the causes? So you see here on the slide, I say the main ideas, related words and phrases, the theories and concepts that you want to cover. Okay, these should all guide you, and you would list, depending on the size of your literature review, you can go on and list as many as you can. But if you are doing it for a thesis, know that you have word limits. So you will be guided by the word limit. If you are doing a manuscript, you also have word limit. You wouldn't want to write too much literature about it. So this is the foundation of coming up with literature review on any subject matter, So you can even be guided by what type of research are we undertaking. You can also talk about the research designs, or under the literature review, assuming you are doing a qualitative study on the causes of or contributing factors to antibiotic resistance. You can discuss what qualitative studies have been performed worldwide to give you an idea of why not quantitative studies, why not other methods, but that they chose those particular design. You can also look at your topic worldwide, starting from the world. Has anybody done anything that is the same as what I'm going to do? Maybe somewhere else, not in Ghana, but somewhere else. We call that empirical data. So data that it's like your topic, like you are duplicating your topic, work that has been done somewhere. You will do that. So I have an example here. You have a topic, awareness of pharmacists on pediatric cancers. And down there, I have some of the subtopics that I will write down to be able to now undertake the literature review, to be able to now undertake them. So I would ask, what are cancers? So I will search for what are cancers, literature on what people think cancers are, or look out for the literature to look at what cancers are. Then I can look at epidemiology of cancers. Epidemiology, the occurrence, what is the risk, what percentage of the population are likely to get cancers or have cancers. I'll start from the world. So what are the studies that have been done across the world, various areas? And then I'll come to Africa. I will also search for literature on Africa on the occurrences of cancers. And then I will zoom down and come to Ghana. And if I get a lot more studies even in Ghana, I will look at my area. If I'm doing it in Accra, I would want to see whether some studies have been done in Accra, though I have done the literature search for those studies in Ghana. And then I'll look at the types. What are the types of cancers? What are the types of pediatric cancers? You see the topic was awareness of pharmacists on pediatric cancers. So I will look at types of pediatric cancer. I can even look at, I have not written it here, but managements or therapies, treatment options for pediatric cancers. I can even do a literature search on that one and add it as part of my topics. Then when I'm done, I will now come on the empirical data. What I mean by empirical data is your topic itself. The topic that you have been provided itself, the awareness of pharmacists on pediatric cancer, has it been done somewhere? Review the literature to see what the conclusions were on those studies that were done elsewhere, exactly on your topic. So look at synonyms, words. We will look at some strategies on how to do that. Pharmacists and pediatric cancers. Knowledge of pharmacists, and then you get very close to. So you need to search. A lot of people come and you ask them to do a literature search and they are telling you there's no data on the topic. This work, there's no data on it. There is, this will be the first of its kind. My friend, you haven't done a proper literature search, because there would be something that is related. Awareness is an English term that can be replaced by knowledge. So if you didn't really search, the search engines use, and I think you have gone through this when with Dr. Inkum, that looked at the Boolean characters and the referencing and all that. They use terms, they are search terms. So if you don't use the appropriate terms, you are not going to get the appropriate results. And then you would conclude that there are no data on your topic. So this is a typical example. Now, the second point. So having written down about 5, 6, up to 10, depending on the available page numbers or number of words that you desire, you will now have to connect your search. We are now going to actually do the search. So I have the subtopics, definition of pediatric cancer, types of pediatric cancer, prevalence of it, and so on and so forth. I'm now going to take each subtopic and do a literature search on it and write up on it. So you will notice that it becomes very easy. Now you know where you are starting. So you are going to start, and it doesn't matter where you start. We are not saying that start from the top, so that if you are not getting data on definitions of pediatric cancers, you are stuck. No, if there are no literature on your subtopics, you cancel your subtopic out, and so that you can move on to the next. But by all means, there will be some literature on your study topic and so on and so forth. So from the last discussions on referencing, we do have what we call the Boolean operators, the use of and, or not. I think we have gone through. But for those of you who are not able to participate, if you are doing the search, which I'm saying that I'll go into for us to know, and you use the term "and," what the search engine brings you is that it would bring you all the papers, all the published articles that have these two words together. So if you have adolescent and teenager, it will bring you studies that have adolescents and also have teenagers all together. But you can delimit it by using the word "or." What "or" will do is that it will bring all studies on adolescent and also bring all studies on teenagers. So you see, you have a very huge data journals to now look through. If you use "not," it would bring a note. These are in capital letters. The search engines understand. And some of the search engines, we will go to them, have what we call the advanced search. At the advanced search, they have inputted the Boolean operators already, so you don't need to even type these ones. So find results with two search words. Use "and" between words, which will present the two of them. So you are saying, what you are saying is that you want studies that have adolescent and also physical activity at the same time, and that you find results that have both these terms. And you will notice that I have put the physical activity in inverted commas intentionally. The search engine understands that as a term, sort of. So the two of them together will be seen as a term, instead of seeing physical separately and also seeing activity separately. Then I mentioned excluding some terms that you don't want in your search with the word "not." So the third procedure here is to use some search tricks. These symbols are useful and understandable by the search engine. The one particular one of interest is, I have mentioned the inverted commas and the asterisk symbol. So if you put the asterisk symbol there, it will find the results with the words that have that spelling, amongst the words. So it sort of truncates your search. Okay, so if you say "teen," it would find results that have teen, teens, teenager, teenagers, teenalize, or anything that have teen in it. You will get that coming in. Then the inverted commas, the double quotation marks, as some would call it, will search for those two words as one together as a phrase and will not separate the individual words. Okay. So there are also some, we call them wildcard symbols, which are not very common. But for example, if you put in an exclamation sign in between "wem" and "n," it will search for both women and woman and bring it out. Then also there's proximity. If you have the W with the hashtag, It will allow you to specify where your search term would appear in relation to each other. So that if, for example, you say pain W/10 morphine, will search for pain within 10 words of morphine. These things would also guide you in your search. These ones will guide you in your search. These are mainly for advanced search. Most of us will not use most of them, but with the Boolean ones, they are very important. And also the inverted commas one, the double, so that it would delimit your search for you and give you results that you want. A point to note, the fourth is to improve your search results. How do you do that? You should know that library databases, different databases are all different. They come, some of them have journals that you can go directly into the journals. Some of them will pull the individual articles for you instead of the journals. So you need to know where you are searching your data from. So for example, when I introduce you to the Hinari, which has the journal, the full journals, okay, there's a way of searching inside the journals than you would have the search engine. You know, the search engine like Google Scholar, for example, will search across different journals and different databases. And you can also have a full journal and also search within the journal. And sometimes you can delimit your search with year of publication. So for those of you for academic purposes, you wouldn't want to use more than 10 years old references. Okay, so when you are searching, we are in 2022, so you can say search above or yes, from 2012 upwards, meaning that you don't want anything that is below 2012. And that will give you a good search and you will discuss that. Okay, all right. So these ones were supposed to have been taught with the referencing bit. So you can narrow your search with search types and keywords as well. Let's see how that is done. When searching, remember to adapt your search and keep trying. Do not say that the data is not available. Now, there is a mother of all literature reviews that stores published literature reviews. I mentioned that if you are doing a literature review, you can even do only literature review and publish it if you know how to do systematic literature review. There is what we call the Cochrane Library that has publications of systematic literature review. So if you search at your ordinary databases and you can't find them, you can go to the Cochrane Library. I would also go there when we get online, and then you will search from there. Keep track of your searches. Most libraries will allow you to register your personal account. Some are paid, some are unpaid, but we would, for the emphasis of using the unpaid one, like I've said, is we will do Pubmed, and then I'll show you Hinari. Hinari, I have a paid account from the hospital, and then we will do Scholar Google. Even you can search on Scholar Google and you will be fine for all that you need for your thesis. Scholar Google is good enough. You wouldn't need any other. You've been taught referencing, but it's tied up with literature search, because whilst you are searching the literature, you will be writing up. You are not just searching literature, and how would the reviewers know that you have searched the literature? You will be writing up what you have searched. You will be writing up. And whilst you are writing up, you need to also reference what you search and write down. What you search and write down. And these would help you. These are reference managers that we were taken through. Mendeley is free, available online to download onto your computer. So you can jot that and do that. You can look at tutorials for using Mendeley, which I will recommend strongly. Either a YouTube tutorial or even on their website, tutorials for using, so that you can be citing as you search your literature and be writing up. So that's Mendeley for you. All right, now let me go to the practical session. We are good on time. Let me go to the practical session. So please indulge me. I'm going to go online. So if you have your laptop with you, you can follow as I do that now. So any browser is fine. I'm using Safari. So remind me. Okay. Okay, so assuming, let me now share my screen. Assuming that I am here and a normal browser, which has Google on it, which is fine. So let's start off. I was talking about how do you search your literature. So you are talking about knowledge of pharmacists. So that's your topic. Knowledge of pharmacists on pediatric cancer, pediatric cancers in Ghana. Okay, this is your, don't enter, it's not useful. This is at Google. So this is your topic. Now we said that in breaking down your topic, you would want to look at what is pediatric cancer. What is one of them that you want to do? You also want to look at therapies for pediatric cancers. You also want to look at knowledge of pharmacists on pediatric cancers. Okay. So I have said, let's first look at the databases. That is where the lecture started. Databases. What are some of the databases that we have? I introduce you to Scholar Google. Scholar Google. So at Google, you just search Scholar Google, you click on it, and then you have this page. So when you search anything here, you are likely to get scientific data, knowledge, and then I use a Boolean operator, and here, when I'm done, I will go to the advanced search for you to see, and say knowledge pharmacist. Let me put pharmacist in inverted commas. Pharmacist Let me put cancer. And you search. So you will see that these are published articles on my subject. Published articles on my subject. Now, if I'm interested in cancer pain management, pharmacist knowledge and practice, which is very close, on the left side here, you can see the delimitations that I was talking about, that you can delimit your search by time. And so you click on custom range or sort by date, custom range. So you want to say that you are searching from 2012 to 2022 so that you will get newer reviews for your work. So anything that is not published within these years will not come up here for you. Very important. Okay. On the left side here, where you have the lines, so if you can see, when I click on it, it gives me some options and I can click on the advanced search. Once I click on the advanced search, the Boolean operators bit that I was talking about shows up here. And so this time you can search the literature at specific areas. So you want to search all the words you can put in here. You want to search exact phrase or at least one of the words. And if you don't want without the words, you can put it here. Where are you searching? Are you searching anywhere in the article or you are searching in the title? Sometimes you just want it in the title. Just want it, and you want work that has been done in the title, exactly in the title. So you will put that there that you want to search it. Sometimes you know the author. So you know the author. You know the author and you want to search the author. Say hospital, and I put in here, I want to search the author, a champon. That is the only thing you want to search. You can put in there and you will search. And it will give you all the authors, champons. If you know the full name, you can put it there and search for a specific champon. Let's say a champon F hospital. Let's see what will come up. Okay, so this is a champon F, and these are some of my publications that you would see. So it is very useful. You can do that with the advanced. Now, what is important for us is to know where to get your literature. We started off with the databases. So this is Scholar Google. Now let's go to Pubmed. Please, if you can't find anything, if you don't know the website address of what I'm talking about, you can Google them. And when they come, then I have Pubmed here in my search area because I've used it. So you click on it, and this is what you have. Down here, you can see advanced. Let's click on the advanced to see what happens. So you will notice that this sort of enhance your study. So the first query box here says all fields. Do you want to search for all fields? No. Maybe you want to search in the titles, or you want to search journals. You want to search titles, abstract. You have your work here, knowledge, pharmacist, cancer. And on the right, you can see my cursor here on the right, you have the Boolean operators. Like I did say, that the Boolean operators are there and available already. So either you can add an end, you want to add an end. If you click, you want to add an end, it will go and then you will type in your end already. If you want an or, it would also add here. So if I search here an or, awareness, so it would come and create your search terms here for you. And then when you say search, it will search on their databases. They're available. Cancer awareness among community pharmacists, a systematic review. So this one is a systematic review. It's not a primary research. I've introduced you to systematic review. Awareness, the first step. What Ghanaian community pharmacists know about cancer. This is an important literature for my work. It was published in 2021. So when I get here, I'm just going to click on it and access it. So I have the abstract here. And then you start reading it. What are you looking out for? I said that we are looking out for, as one of the subtopics, knowledge, the empirical study, knowledge of pharmacists on pediatric cancers. So these are general cancers. But in your literature review, if you can start off with the general cancer and maybe you don't have any specific study on pediatric cancers, you can describe this study. So a sentence that will come out from this is that, let me pick a study. So you can, in your own words, community pharmacists in Ghana showed inadequate knowledge on cancer, its signs and symptoms. Then into bracket, let me, it means I have to switch over, I can't have double screens. So let's say, so, okay, you look at this statement. You see, I have not even opened the full work. This is the abstract. But the conclusion here is something that I'm writing. And I want to state that what is the data saying about knowledge of pharmacists on cancers? I want to say, I have found a paper that says that community, and you don't have to pick the full knowledge of cancer, its signs and symptoms were inadequate. No, you can rewrite it by saying that in Ghana, community pharmacists showed inadequate knowledge on cancer, its signs and symptoms. Then I put my reference here. What will be the reference? The reference is this, how to cite. So the reference is Mensa KB, Mensa AAB, Bengali vein, whatever. So I'll copy this as my reference. If you have a reference manager, you can import it directly into the reference manager. Like I said, kindly learn reference managers. So this one, I would have just imported it directly and then I will cite it. You see, then I will go on to find another study. For all you know, whilst I'm reading, I will find, this is another study. Assessing knowledge of community pharmacists on cancer, a pilot study in Ghana, which is different from this. So that one was 2019. Let's see whether anything has changed. There's even another one, knowledge assessment and barriers to cancer screening among Ghanaian community pharmacists. You see, you can have a lot to talk about if you have written subsections of your title and you are searching under each subsection, each subtopic. you will notice that you will get a lot of data. So let's look at this. Assessing the knowledge. Let me see the conclusions of this study also. The study provided available data indicated that community pharmacists in Ghana have poor level of knowledge on cancer. You see? So, moreover, so in writing it in your work, moreover, the authors in 2 years, or in this one is what, 2019, also found that community pharmacists did have poor level of knowledge on cancer in a pilot study. In a pilot study involving, then you go into the methods involving 150 community pharmacists, it was concluded that, or it was noticed, or it was found out that community pharmacists in Ghana had poor level of knowledge on cancer, and so on and so forth. So that is the trick in doing literature review. So I've introduced you to 2 search engines. Most of us, Google Scholar alone would be enough for us. If that is not, Pubmed is there. The third one that I mentioned, introduce you to Hinari. Yes, okay. Before that, things like Hindawi is, I mentioned that there are some online databases that host a lot of journals. So this is one of them. Elsevier, you might have also heard Elsevier, the spelling, you can Elsevier. You can also find Elsevier. What they do is that they host a lot of journals. So I've taught you the raw way of using the databases. You can also come here and come and search. You search for the journals. If you know, maybe you are doing something on cancers, and you know journals sometimes come with themes. So some journals are concentrating on particular subjects, pharmacy practice or something. So you can search for the journals. You can say maybe you are doing a particular, you are doing a particular subject, and you want to search first of all to see whether there are some journals that have particular sets. So you browse the journal here on the left side. They have indexed a whole lot of them. Okay, so you have Journal of System Control, Diabetes and Metabolism. So assuming you are doing a study on diabetes, you can come to this journal and be searching the editions, various editions of the journal, not even one particular issue. You know, when you search on Google Scholar, and they are pulling the individual articles for you. But if you come to the journal, you are searching the whole journal. Okay, that is also another strategy that you can use, which is also another database strategy. Instead of doing the individual ones at Scholar, Google, or Pubmed, you can go into the journals themselves based on the subject of your interest. We do have various subjects. Let's say pharmacy. Let me see. Let's see if you want. Pharmacy practice. It's a journal. Pharmacy Today, community pharmacy. Some of them are books. You have to be careful. Some of them are books, but you need to know the ones that are journals. And then you can click on them and you have access to those journals. So let's look at, I did mention Hinari. Hinari is a WHO site. Research for life. Yes, research for life. And this one has tons and tons and tons of. So this is the special ID that I said that our institution do have. It gives you a complete access to various journals that you can access. You can access. And so you can even search inside here in Hinari. So on the left side here, you see Hinari, 91,000 journals that are available from all subjects. The list is endless. You can. Okay, all right. So to beat the timing bit, this is how you would do it. In summary, I have said if you have your topic, your title, out of your main objectives, what your main objectives talks about, get subtopics, subsections from them, and then you use the skills that we have learned today to now search under the subtopics. So you derive subtopics, subsections from your objectives, and also looking at your topic. What are some of the things that are interesting enough about your study? And then when you have done that, you use your search strategies to now search under. And then you will be writing it out. And in writing them out, you reframe some of the conclusions or the things that you want to cite. Okay, you write, some of them you can pick it straight on directly, but other ones like I did, you will just have to reframe your topics. Thank you very much. And I think it's 3:15. We can now move quickly into the groupings. Madam Rector, thank you. I will stand by when to join some of the groupings to be able to see what work is ongoing. Thank you very much. So I can project for those of you that have not opened your email, let me project the case. Let me project the case. Okay, so for the case, this is what we are looking at. So assuming that you have these topics, you can choose any of them. There are 2 topics that you have to do a study on. And because of that, you want to derive your literature review session. So you have this one, medication safety strategies in Ghanaian hospitals, the role of the pharmacist. The second one is knowledge, attitude, and practices of pharmacists in the rational use of antibiotics. The task here is to derive the various subsections, minimum of 5, of the literature review session of your report, which is your thesis. For each session, list 2 relevant references from at least 2 search engines, quoting relevant statements to support your work. So like I did, use any of the search engines or databases or journals, search for any, first of all, derive the subtopics first, do the search, just give us some statement, 1 or 2, and then your references to support that. Madam Retta, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And each one of us has received the case study. And I hope that we have all been able to at least take a look at it. And so during this session, we have taken notes and we have ideas. And so I'll ask IT manager, please put us into our rooms. Okay, just before that, just before you put us in our rooms, we are going into the Zoom rooms. In the Zoom rooms, we will ask that you get one person just leads to, so that when you come back and you are reporting, it is easier. And then as Dr. Champo has said, you take one. So in your group, you take one question and you derive the minimum of 5. If you can come up with 10, I'm sure he'll be very happy. So a minimum of 5 of the subsections, that is what you are going to use for your data, your literature search. And then you also find the references as he has done. So you use practically, go and use those references, and let's check. So please, I think right now we are ready to go into our rooms, our breakout rooms. Please put us in our breakout rooms. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, nowadays.
Hello, we are all welcome back to the plenary. And I'm sure that for most of us, we were able to go through the questions that we were given, the topics. The first one is medication safety strategies in Ghanaian hospitals, the role of the pharmacist. The second one is knowledge, attitude, and practices of pharmacists in the rational use of antibiotics. And we were supposed to come up with the various subsections, at least 5, which we were going to use in our literature search. And also with that, come up with at least a list of 2 relevant references from at least 2 search engines, quoting relevant statements to support our work. And so I think that in the next few minutes, I'll ask each of our groups to tell us what you did briefly. You tell us the topic you chose, the subsections that you got, and also the references and the search engines that you used. So that, and if after the first person, if maybe you also selected the same topic and you want to add to the subsections, you just identify maybe the ones you selected and the ones that you want to add to it, so that all of us learn from this and take these away. It allows us to, it opens up our thinking more, so that we see various other things that people also see, and moving forward, it will help us. So I'll ask a volunteer from, I don't know if you know your groups, but room 1, please, any volunteer. I think room 1 was exceptionally quiet, so. Okay, any group at all, just tell us, any volunteer, you can raise your hand or you can unmute and speak. Yes, Pharmacist Justice Jones, please start. Use the raise your hand button.
Please, can I go ahead?
Please go ahead.
Okay, we are from group 4, but
Okay.
unfortunately we couldn't we were able to do the first part of the question, but I couldn't get the details for the second part.
Okay.
Yes, so we chose the knowledge, attitude, and practices of pharmacists in the rational use of antibiotics. And
okay.
The breakdown of the topics, the subsections, we're able to come out with 6 subsections. And the first one is what is rational use of medicines in general. Then we came to look at what are antibiotics, what are rational use of antibiotics. Then we moved on to look at the importance of rational use of antibiotics. Then we came to look at the knowledge of pharmacists on antibiotics. Then the last one here is the patterns of antibiotic prescriptions in Ghana. And for that matter, yes, thank you. So I worked on the knowledge of pharmacists on antibiotics, and the search engines that were used here were Pubmed and then Google Scholar. So for the first one, the knowledge of pharmacists on antibiotics, we got one article by Sawar Mohammed in 2018, talking about, the article title is Knowledge of Community Pharmacists about Antibiotics and Their Prescriptions and Practices Regarding Antimicrobial Stewardship. And it's a cross-sectional study in Punjab, Pakistan. So the conclusion in that article says that, which I've paraphrased, says the study concluded that pharmacists have good knowledge on antibiotics. Then the second search engine, that's PubMed, we came out with one article that says knowledge and practices of community pharmacists towards non-prescription dispensing of antibiotics in northern Nigeria, which was published in 2020. And the conclusion in that article says pharmacists dispense antibiotics mainly because they had very good knowledge of antibiotics. Yeah, so that's what we're able to gather now. But I'm sure my colleagues who worked on the various subsections might raise their hands and then give us what they got. Because of time, I couldn't gather all the details. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. I think that I'm sure Dr. Franklin Echampong is smiling because he will feel that he has done what he has achieved what he wanted to achieve today from what you have brought out. Thank you very much. So I will go on to the next. You can raise your hand if you are in the group, and or if you are in another group and you want to just share your own, that is fine. And please, if you want to raise your hand, use the raise hand button icon on your screen. When you go to reactions, you have the option to raise your hand. On your screen, you should have reactions there. You will have the option to raise your hand, then you raise your hand, and then we can call you. So the next person will be Pharmacist Nick Jokoto. Please go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon. Please, I'm representing group 1. Our line got dropped along the way, but we're able to do something. So I want to share with the whole group. So we chose the first topic, that's medication safety in hospitals in Ghana, the role of the pharmacist. And so the subsessions that we came about It's not in any order, it was random. So the first one was the role of pharmacists with regard to medication safety, medication use safety in hospitals, then medication-related adverse drug reaction, then medication safety strategies, then prevalence of medication error. So we're able to do search for only two of the topics. And with regard to medication safety strategies, we use Google Scholar and ResearchGate, and we came across this paper by our own resource person, Champon Franklin, that's medication safety strategy. The role of pharmacists, that was published in 2014. And what we pick out from the paper was, that's the strategies of improving medication safety. Pharmacy automation. Pharmacy automation contributes to decreasing dispensing errors, improve workflow, and ease pharmacy distributive responsibilities. Another paper that we also find for strategies for improving was from Carol Cohen. And the title of the paper was Medication Safety. That one too, we got it from Google Scholar. And it was about medication reconciliation. That is one of the strategies for improving medication safety. And a little thing that we wrote from there was that you have to obtain a complete and accurate list of medication a person is taking at each new encounter and comparing it with the already existing medications that they are taking. Then when it comes to the role of pharmacists, we got two references, and one of them was by Mansoor Janel, that's Medication Safety Systems, 2016. We got it from Pubmed. And the piece out was, the pharmacist is uniquely trained to impact medication safety through medication management skills. Then we also got it from a research that was done in Ethiopia, the impact of pharmacist-led medicines reconciliation on healthcare outcomes in secondary care, a systematic review and meta-analysis of randomized controlled trials. And the statement they said was that active interventions by pharmacists, like tailored patient counseling, provision of telephonic consultation, were associated with clinically important reduction in medication discrepancies. So that was the two that we're able to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so very much. I think all of this shows that it's not that difficult once you know how to get information to support your work. So Pharmacist Johnson, please go ahead. Please unmute yourself. Your microphone is off.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, please. Thank you.
So we got I got one article that I was able to read, that medication safety in Switzerland. Where are we today? And in the article, where you go from, the article was that with the advent of polypharmacy being very common, the risk of medication error is widespread. However, there wasn't any comprehensive national strategy that was dedicated to medication safety in Switzerland. And the article was written by one Fishman, L, and Drew Wera L. We took it from Pubmed. Pubmed. That it was written in September 2018.
Thank you very much. So that means you were in the same group as Pharmacist Jokoto.
Yes.
Great. Great. Okay. Please, any other?
Okay. So we came out with some 5 actions.
This is another Johnson?
Group 3, yes.
Okay,
Group
so
3.
we have 2 Johnsons. All right. Go ahead.
We also look at what are antibiotics, definition of rational use of antibiotics, consequences of irrational use of antibiotics, strategies to improve rational use of antibiotics. Then we also looked at with search at Pubmed. Then we look at the knowledge of pharmacists on rational use of antibiotics. So we came out with the conclusion was that we used Pubmed to search knowledge in rational use of antibiotics. So it was concluded that the reasons for administering antibiotics without a prescription included the pharmacy business, looking for more profit, patient failure to obtain a prescription, and the lack of stringent inspection of pharmacies by the regulatory authorities. So this was the relevant statement that we used to support. And the article was Pharmacist Knowledge, Attitude, and Practice regarding the dispensing of antibiotics without prescription in Tanzania, an explorative cross-sectional study. It was published in Tanzania. Then we also look at the definition of antibiotics. Are you with me, sir? Hello?
Yes, we are here.
So the conclusion was that we had it from a scholar, and the topic was new concept of rational use of antibiotics in outpatient practice, SV Yakovlev, 2019. And the conclusion of the antibiotics was antibiotics must be of adequate quality and in optimal dosage forms. These were the findings we also came up with.
Thank you very much. Please, what group did you say this is?
Room 3.
Room 3, all right. Thank you very much. Please, anybody else? Pharmacist or CSCB, please go ahead.
That is it group 3?
Thank you, madam.
Okay.
So I am from group 8.
Okay, can I maybe
continue?
So group 8, we were not able to complete the work, but we made progress a bit. So we came up with 7 subsections from the main topic, which is the first topic.
Please, just a minute. Pharmacist Johnson, have you finished?
Yeah, I think I need to add some to it.
Pharmacist Ekwam, you were in the same group with him.
Yes, I coordinated.
Okay, Pharmacist Osesibe, please give us a minute and let Pharmacist Ekwam update. Please go ahead.
We were 3 and I coordinated the group.
Okay,
And
please go ahead.
as he said, we covered 5 areas, subtopics, and there was one that we looked at knowledge in rational use of antibiotics, of which from Pubmed, it was published in 2020, and it was on pharmacist knowledge, attitude, and practice regarding the dispensing of antibiotics without prescription in Tanzania, an explorative cross-sectional study. And I think he gave the statement, relevant statement supporting that work. And we also look at the next one, rational use of antibiotics. And with the rational use of antibiotics, we came to, we had an article which was by, was also published in 2016. And the topic was rational use of antibiotics, straightforward with that topic, rational use of antibiotics. And it was done in Germany in 2016 in Berlin. And the information relevant statement supporting it was the optimal clinical treatment result can only be achieved when the toxicity, selection of pathogens, and development of resistance are minimized. Then the last one that we looked at was the definition of antibiotics, And we had one article that was published in 2021, December 2021, and it talked about development of an electronic definition for de-escalation of antibiotics in hospitalized patient. And without, what we had was, the relevant statement was our electronic de-escalation metric demonstrated variation among hospitals, unit, and diagnosis from Pubmed. So I think that is what I wanted to add. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pharmacist Ekwam. Pharmacist Osei, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Madam. So we came up with 7 topics, even though we are not able to fully exhaust all of them. So the first one was medications. What are medications? That was the first one. And then the second topic was, this is actually for the first question, which is medication safety strategies in Ghanaian hospitals, the role of the pharmacist. So our first topic was medications and what are medications. The second one, the topic was medication safety. The third was the role of pharmacists in Ghanaian hospitals. The fourth was medicines used in Ghana. The fifth topic was pharmacovigilance. Then strategies in medicine safety. Then the last one was patient safety. We tried to find some papers on medications, and one paper was medication development, success and challenges. This paper was in 2005. And then another paper on medications as a social phenomenon. We ran out of time, and so we couldn't do much with this. But for medication as a social phenomenon, we read that medication has a life cycle and it changes with the society as society changes. This is where we ended. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much for your work. I am sure Dr. Champon will comment on your 2005 paper, but thank you so much. Please, is there any other addition? Pharmacist Johnson, is that a new hand or is that an old hand? Okay, Pharmacist Harrison Awute, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm speaking on behalf of Group 7, and we also went with the second topic, talking about the knowledge attitude of pharmacists in rational antibiotic use. So our sub topics were, what are antibiotics? The second one, we looked at the rational use of antibiotics. Then we look at the impact of microbial resistance. We looked at the knowledge of pharmacists on antibiotics, the knowledge of pharmacists in the rational use of antibiotics, and then we looked at the role of the pharmacist in rational use of antibiotics. So we were able to come through a few resources. We went through Google Scholar, and as has already been mentioned, the paper in Germany by Waga P, and then I can't mention the other name. It's quite heavy. In 2016, that's already been elucidated. So I'll move on to the other reference that we looked at. We looked at a two-phase mixed method online study among Pakistani community pharmacists to promote rational antibiotic use, and the conclusion was that with effective antibiotic stewardship programs, patient education and awareness campaign, together with training community pharmacists, we can improve our antibiotic delivery and then reduce antibiotic resistance. Then we looked at another paper, which was in 2020 from Pubmed. We looked at the impact of national interventions to promote rational, responsible antibiotic use, a systematic review by Jane Lim, Shweta Singh, and others. So the conclusion that was drawn was that, yes, with national level interventions, we can reduce inappropriate access to antibiotics, and that will go a long way to reduce antibiotic resistance. So these were the few that we were able to do. We had a few technical issues, so we couldn't exhaust everything. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Please, is there any other contribution? I don't see any other hand up, and so I will call on Dr. Achampong to tell us if there are any other things, how maybe from all that we have said, how we can sharpen our findings, our search better. And I'm also expecting a comment on the 2005. Dr. Champon, please, we are ready for you.
All right, thank you very much. So the first comment is that I am highly impressed and happy that at least for the short time that we were able to go through this, we have had a lot of progress. So from many of the groups, they were on the right path. What I want to add is that because it's scientific and it's something that you also want the reader to be happy about, the last when you do come up them be happy to read your work. But having said that, and of course, those searches that as much as possible, if it is earlier than 10 years, if we wouldn't want to, literature search says that looking at the literature has been published on the work. So if your work is stated, gives a lot of concern. So that is not too old. Within 10 years is fine. If you can get earlier one, it's the better. So having said that, I think you were all on point. The group that chose the first one, I expected to see some kind of theories. I'm sure maybe we'll get there. I mentioned was literature on the exact topic. Always include that in your literature search, such that you would search for literatures on the exact topic. So all in all, you are on the path. I'm sure because of time, a lot of more work were not accomplished, but the essence is to learn. And I think that went on, and I'm happy with the results. So
thank you very much, Dr. Champon. I am also, I agree with you totally. It is clear that these are skills that we have acquired in this period of time. And so I think I'll encourage that we use the time subsequently. Maybe we take some time, the weekend is close by, take an hour or two and do it again on your own, or call somebody that you know in this group, and together brainstorm again so that you can sharpen the focus. And I think it is really great. The feedback has been wonderful. And so we will be wrapping up, but we will ask that you do an evaluation for us. So as I speak now, you should be seeing the evaluation form. Please, can we have the evaluation? I also see that there is a hand up. Pharmacist Irene Boateng, please, if you have a question or a contribution, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Please, I have a question. I want to find out from Dr. Franklin, when do we say that a topic is well researched?
Okay. Dr. Champo, if you can take that for us.
Yes, that will be typically by experience. If you know the subject, you know, as you go up, especially after when you were able to do a master's, and you also start getting an area of interest and start reading, you would notice that you would be chancing upon, or you'll be stepping on a lot of literature on that subject matter. And that will give you an indication of a well-searched subject matter. So usually it is for those who have published in that subject matter to say, because they would have done over the period of time a lot of literature search on that subject matter. And so that is how one will be able to determine that a subject is well searched. Sometimes when you just do a scoping literature review search, for some of the subject, you see a lot of relevant and close data publication comes up. And so that gives you an idea that the subject is well searched.
Thank you very much, Dr. Franklin Champon. And please go ahead and fill our poll. You should, that is our evaluation form. We need you to fill it so that we know how to improve. We know the things which are working, the things which are not working, and what we can do to improve. So please go ahead and complete the evaluation form. It's just 6 questions. And you should finish very quickly within the next few seconds or so. You should finish. And once you finish, please, you submit, and that is it. Okay. So now we know how to use databases effectively. If along the line, maybe there are some other areas that you think we can delve into and get facilitators, or maybe have a little more time on a certain area that Dr. Champo mentioned, that maybe you think we should ask him to come back and come and discuss it further with us, or with all the others, there are other topics that we have had so far. We've looked at plagiarism, we've looked at referencing, we've looked at becoming a researcher, and we've looked at copyright and intellectual property. So if there is anything in any of those areas that you think that perhaps we should look at further, we should explore further, and it will help us build our competences, please do not hesitate to get that information back to us, and we will be ready to explore other sessions which will look into these areas. And with that, I'll say a big thank you to all of you for coming, especially to Dr. Franklin Echampong for the research that must have gone into this. And of course, your experience, coming to share your experience with us, your knowledge, and imparting all this knowledge to us, which of course, obviously has gone down very well, and people have shown that in their practice. And I will also thank all of you for your time, and thank the Almighty God for making it possible for us to spend this time together, for making it possible for us to even understand the concepts that have been shared with us. And I'll say with that, see you again in June, and this time we will be talking about writing an abstract. So with all the things that we have done so far, you've got your topics, you have been able to reference, you have understood how to reference properly because of the copyright, and also to make sure that you are not being caught in plagiarism. You have also been able to use your literature databases properly. And now you want to write your abstract for submission to maybe a conference, or even sometimes you have done your work, but you want to capture the abstract properly. So let us come again, join us again in June, and let's discuss writing an abstract. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the day and the rest of the month. God bless you. Bye-bye.